Hi, welcome to my video on solving trig word problems part 2. Part 2 means that I'm going to do some more word problems or explain some more word problems. And if you want, you can, because I had the word practice there, you can pause the video and work this question out. Press play to see if you got it right and do that for number 2 and number 3 and so on. So these are done as for practice to see if you understand or comprehend what you're doing. Let's start. Number 1, a 12-foot ladder leans against the house, reaching 10 feet up on the house. Find to the nearest tenth of a degree the angle that the ladder forms with the house. So what we can have, let's draw a diagram. So we have a house. Let's make the house, and the house is normally perpendicular to the ground. So that's the house. And we have the ground, so let's draw the ground along here. And we have a ladder that's put up on the house. That ladder is resting against the house. So here's the ladder on the ground resting against the house. A 12-foot ladder, so that's the length of the ladder right there, from there to there. The house is perpendicular to the ground, and this a 12-foot ladder leans against the house, reaching 10 feet up on the house. So the 10 feet that is reaching up is from the ground to here. So there's the 10 feet. Find to the nearest degree the angle that the ladder forms with the house. So this is the ladder, this is the angle that the ladder forms with the house. And we have to solve this. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tan is opposite over adjacent. In relation to this angle, this is the hypotenuse and this is the adjacent. So we have adjacent over hypotenuse. And adjacent over hypotenuse is cos. So we want the angle, so it's the cos of angle x is the adjacent 10 over the hypotenuse 12. And we want to find the angles, so angle x is cos to the negative 1, 10 divided by 12. So let's bring in the calculator. Here we are, and we turn on the calculator, click. So we have to find the angle. So to get the angle, you got to go second function and the cos, so it looks like that. And we got 10 division 12. And the angle, and it says find the angle to the nearest tenth of a degree. So 33, 5, there's the 10th place. This is 5 or greater, so we'll add 1 to the 5, 6. So the angle to the nearest tenth of a degree is 33.6. Okay, that one is done. I have a different variety of word problems done here to give you some experience. A 14.7 long diagonal of a rectangle makes an angle of 27 degrees with one of its sides. Find its perimeter to the nearest tenth. So what we have is we have a rectangle. Let's draw a rectangle. Oops. Make the line straight. The rectangle has 4 right angles. And the diagonal, let's draw the diagonal goes from one corner up to another. So I could draw this diagonal here, but I draw this one. So either one will do because both diagonals are equal. The diagonal is 14.7 long and makes an angle of 27 degrees with one of the sides. So it makes no difference if I put 27 degrees there or 27 degrees here, but it don't have to. But I'm going to put 27 right here. Now the reason I'm going to do that, I'm going to explain a little bit. You could put it anywhere and it'll still work out. But since this is the shorter side in this right triangle, this is the 90-degree angle right here in this triangle. So the hypotenuse is the longest side in this right triangle right here. Since this is the shorter side in this right triangle, the shorter side has the smallest angle across from it. So this angle is 90. That's the smallest angle, so that's the shorter side. So this is the longest side, not the hypotenuse. Because this angle here, I put it down, that's a 90. They all add up to 180. So this angle here is a 63. Because 63 and 27 makes a 90, but the 90. So because this angle is 63, this side is going to be longer than this one. Because the size of the angle across from that is appropriate length of the side, and that the largest angle got the largest side, smallest angle got the smallest side. So I just mentioned that now because that'll be needed later on in trig, later on in geometry. Okay, let's continue with the problem. Find its perimeter to the nearest tenth. So that means I'm going to round all the numbers that I get off to the nearest tenth. So we want the perimeter. So I need this side and this side to get the perimeter of the rectangle, because this side here is equal to this one, and this side right here is equal to this one. So let's get the two of these using this triangle. So I'm going to I could call this X and call this Y. I could call this length and width, but let's call it just X and Y. So to get these sides, I'm going to use SOHCAHTOA. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, tan is opposite over adjacent. So if I want to get X, I'm going to use the 27, or it makes no difference which one I use. I'm going to use, if I use the 20, I'm going to use the 27 degrees. So if I want to get the 20, if I use the 27 degrees instead of 63, then X is going to be adjacent, and this is hypotenuse. So I'm going to use 27. I'm going to use adjacent over the hypotenuse. So that means I'm going to use cos. So the cos of 27 degrees is the adjacent, which is X, over the hypotenuse. Put it over 1, cross multiply. X is equal to 14.7 cos 27. So X is equal to, so here's my calculator, clear it. So I got 14.7 cos 27. And that gives me, to the nearest tenth, I said I was going to round each number, so it's 13.1, and that's centimeters. Now I'm going to use the 27 again, 27 degrees, but I want the Y. The Y is opposite and hypotenuse. So 27, I'm going to use opposite over hypotenuse, so that's the sine. So the sine of 27 degrees, 27 is here, opposite, which is the Y over the hypotenuse. So it's the Y over 14.7. So put it over 1, cross multiply. Y is equal to 14.7 sine 27. So Y is equal to, clear that, 14.7. And I'm using sine 27, sine of 27 degrees. And I have to the nearest tenth, so that's the tenth place. So this is 5 or more, so it's 6.7 centimeters. Okay, let's move to calculator now. So I want the perimeter. So I know that the perimeter of a triangle is twice the length plus twice the width. So that means I can go 2x plus 2y, because the length and the width. So x is 13.2. The width is 6.7. So that's 26.2. And that's 13.4. And when I add that up, I get a 6.9. So the perimeter is 39.6 centimeters around the rectangle. Remember, that's a Y there. This length is this length, and this is a Y X here. So the perimeter is 2x plus 2y. And I could have added all the numbers up instead of using this formula, but as you can see, twice the length plus twice the width is the perimeter. Number 3, find TF to the nearest tenth. TF is this distance here. How am I going to do it? Well, if you think about it, notice that this is a 70-degree angle, this is 90. So this angle right here, is 110. But if I do that, this angle is 110, that's a 40, that's 150, that makes this angle here 30. And that's a 90 and a 70, so this is a 20. Because all these angles here, 90, 20, and 70 is 180. But what I'm getting at, even though I can call it 110, I can't use the triangle TAF because the triangle TAF is not a right triangle. So I have to do it some other way. That means I have to draw, this is a right triangle, so I'm going to draw this triangle right here with the right angle and call it TAC, and then I'm going to take this other one, this one, and this is F, that's an A, and a C. So notice now I have two separate triangles. I'm separating the triangles. So as a result of two separate triangles, AC is 36 in both triangles. Notice the angle AFC is 70. And the angle ATC is 40. So separating the two triangles enables me to work on, because TC is the full length, FC is this length. So if I get TC and subtract FC, so TC take away FC is going to give me the TF. So I'm going to work on this triangle to get this length, that I'm going to call X. I'm going to work on this triangle to get FC, which I'm going to call Y. And then I'm going to subtract X from Y, or sorry, take X and subtract Y, and I'll get this length right here. So here we go. So in this triangle, in this angle, that's opposite and that's adjacent. So let's work on this one. So opposite and adjacent is opposite SOHCAHTOA. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tan is opposite over adjacent. So I have opposite over adjacent, so I have tan. So the tan of 40 degrees is opposite 36 over x. Put it over 1. So x tan 40 degrees is 36. So x is 36 divided by the tan of 40 degrees. And bring in my calculator now. I'm going to move this up so we can see what's happening. I'm going to bring my calculator in. That's why I have to move it up. So make sure it's on clear. So 36 division tan 40 gives me the length of the side, again to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to say 42.9. Okay, now I'm going to use this triangle. And you notice that this angle here is bigger than this angle. Like if you were to come to this point here, the closer I move in towards this length here, the closer I get, the steeper the angle. So notice it's a 90 here. As I move out, the angle gets less steep. So let's say that's an 80, then this is 70, but it's not drawing the scale. But the further I move out on this line, the further I move this way on this line right here, the smaller this angle gets here. Just notice that. So in this one, I got angle 70, so I got, this is an opposite, and this is adjacent. Again, I have tan. So I have to do the tan of 70 degrees is opposite 36 over the y over 1. So I get y tan 70 equals 1 times 36 is 36. So y is 36 divided by the tan of 70. And so clear the calculator and go 36 division tan 70. And that gives me, again, to the nearest tenth, 13.1. Okay, let me just move the calculator down. So TF or FT. TF is the x subtract the y. So that's 42.9 subtract 13.1. And that gives me 9 subtract 1 is 8. And it looks like it gives me a 29.8. Just to make sure, sometimes you do things. 42.9 subtract 13.1. 29.8. So the length, the distance of TF is 29.8. Again, a few different problems in your thinking. And one thing about word problems is that they make you think. They make you use your math. And that's the beauty of them. And I have a couple of more. 3 more. Let's go. Number 4. A water slide 120 meters long is inclined at an angle of 40 degrees with the surface of the water. Find the height of the slide to the nearest tenth. So what we have, if you think of a water slide, think of this. There's the water slide. And the water slide is coming down and hitting the water. So there's the surface of the water there. That's the water. And the slide is making a 90-degree angle with the ground. A water slide, 120 meters long. So the water slide is 120 meters long. Is inclined at an angle of 40 degrees. So there's the surface of the water. So 40 degrees is the angle of inclination or the angle of elevation. Same thing. So it's inclined. The angle, the water slide makes a 40-degree angle with the water. Find the height of the slide to the nearest tenth. So there's the slide. So the height is x. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tan is opposite over adjacent. That's an H there. And so in relation to 40-degree angle, this is opposite. And this is hypotenuse. So opposite hypotenuse is sine. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So I have the angle. So the sine of the 40-degree angle is opposite x over 120. And put it over 1, cross multiply. X is equal to 1 times x is x, 120 sine 40 degrees. So bring my calculator in. Here we go. 120 sine 40. And that's 77. And it says find out the height of the slide to the nearest tenth of a foot. So 77.1. And it's in feet. It's the height of the slide from top down to the ground. Okay, let's move the calculator away and do this one. An equilateral triangle has a side of 8 centimeters. Find its area to the nearest tenth of a square centimeter. An equilateral triangle. Well, let's see. Equilateral means all sides are equal. So here's a triangle with all sides equal. With a side of 8. So that's 8. That's 8. And that's 8. Now you might say, how do I get a right triangle? How do I have an angle? I don't have any angles. Well, we know that, or I know, you should know, that all the angles add up to 180. So this angle and this one is 180. And since all sides are equal, all angles must be equal. So 180 divided by 3 gives me a 60-degree angle. So this angle is 60. This angle is 60. And this angle up here is 60. They're all 60 degrees. But there's another idea that I've been stressing, that because this is an equilateral triangle, if I drop an alt, I'm kind of ahead of myself. Find the area. So the area of a triangle is half the base times the height. So the area of a triangle, the base is the bottom of the triangle, so that's 8. But you might say, I don't have the height. So how do I get the height? So the height is from here straight down to the base. So there's the top, straight down, perpendicular to the base is the height. Oh, that gives me a right angle. If I have a right angle, then I can use, I have this side, or I could have this side if I want. This side is 8, and that's a 60-degree angle. So that means I can find the height. I'm not going to mark it H because of the hypotenuse. I'm going to mark it X. So the height of this triangle is X. That means I can use my trig to get this height because I have a 60-degree angle with this side here. So in this triangle, that's opposite and that's hypotenuse. So opposite hypotenuse is sine. So the sine of 60 degrees is opposite x over 8. Put it over 1. 1 times x is x. 8 sine 60 degrees. So move this up. Bring my calculator into play now. Here I go. Calculator. Here we go. Clear it. Make sure. I got 8 sine 60 degrees. And that gives me, and again I'm on to the nearest tenth, so that's 6.9. 6.9, and that's in centimeters, so that's centimeters. So now the x is my height. So if I take the 6.9 and put it into this formula and multiply, a half times 8 is 4. So not to get it wrong and to make sure, you take 6.9 and multiply it by 4 and you get 27.6. And 27.6 is area. Area is 2 dimensions, so it's square centimeters. So notice in the right triangle, in the equilateral triangle, 8, 8, 8, and I got a 60-degree angle. I can do my trig to get the area because I need the base, which is 8, times I just found the height with the trig. And there's another way too. I can also think about it. Watch this. You don't have to use trig, even though I use trig. Watch this. If you have an equilateral triangle and you drop a perpendicular down from the height here, right from top, that because these two sides are equal, that makes this side 4 and 4. It splits the base into 2 equal pieces because these two sides are equal. Now I could use c squared equals a squared plus b squared to pick up this side. And it'll come out to be this if you did c squared equals a squared plus b squared without using your trig. But I used the trig instead. Now, number 6. Notice I have a cylinder. Notice I have, that indicates the three dimensions on the back of the cylinder. This is the diagonal that goes from the top of the cylinder down to the bottom. The diagonal AB forms an angle of 50 degrees with the base. So the base is this. So what happens is that it forms a 60-degree angle like this. This is the 60-degree angle that it forms right here. That's the 60-degree angle. This angle right here. So if I call that F, so angle ABF is this angle is 60 degrees. Notice that this is the base, so this is your diameter. So no matter where this hits down the base, if you draw it from one side to the other, a diameter hitting this diagonal, then you get the 60-degree angle. The height of the cylinder is 10.4. 10.4 inches. Find the volume to the nearest tenth of a cubic inch. So the volume is, if we think about it, what do we see for volume? The volume of a cylinder is base area times height. The bottom of a cylinder is a circle, so it's a pi r squared h. So really, to get the volume of a cylinder, I have the height, 10.4. I need the radius. So I have to do the trig on this right triangle. So see the right triangle? I have to do the trig with this angle and this side to get BF, because BF is my diameter. So I'll have to take half of it. So here I go. I'm going to get BF. And to get BF, this angle is 60. So this is opposite and this is adjacent. So opposite, and I'm going to get X. That's adjacent. So opposite over adjacent is tan. So the tan of 60 is opposite, which is 10.4, over the adjacent, which is X. So cross multiply, X tan 60 equals 10.4. So X is equal to 10.4 division tan 60. So take my calculator, clear it, and 10.4 division tan of 60 degrees. Oop, did I say 60? Formed an angle of 50. Oh, I just noticed it. Now, 50. No, I don't know why I did 60 again. That's the part of the problem that I have when I'm talking. Sometimes I don't think. That's a 50-degree angle here, because I said 50. So I have to do the tan of 50. And that gives me to the nearest tenth, so it's 8.7. And that's inches. Okay. Now I'll move the calculator away a little bit. Here we go. The volume, because I have X. Now X is my diameter. So the diameter is twice the radius. So if my diameter is 8.7, so I have to divide the diameter by 2 to get the radius. So that's 4.35. So the radius is, again, to the nearest tenth, 4.4. So this is the diameter. I have to take half of it to get the radius. Now I'm able to go into to the nearest. So pi is 3.14. I have to get my radius, which is 4.4, and square it. And the height is 10.4. And I'm going to use my calculator and plug all that in and not have to worry about this. Watch, 3.14, bracket, 4.4, close it off. Now I'm going to square it, see the square at the top, so it looks just like this. And then I'm going to put a bracket there, and I'm going to put a 10.4 with a bracket. So this looks exactly, I typed it in with these brackets. This calculator allows you to do that. And so you hit enter, and you'll get the volume is to the nearest tenth, so it's 632.2 cubic inches. So notice the nearest tenth. Notice that these word problems are designed by me to make you think. Not only make you think, but use the information that we learned earlier on. And that's what I do in my math course. Everything I learned earlier, not everything, but I bring it back again and again to reinforce, to help you understand and learn. Thank you for viewing my video. If you click the like button, if you like it, click the subscribe button, notification bell to get more videos that are coming your way. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, videos, and the content. That's the content that's on my YouTube channel, Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.